Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The alien woman teased the human man until he found an ancient armor. Leon slipped for the third time in the past 10 minutes, landing flat on his back with a grunt that echoed dramatically through the ancient stone corridor. A dull hum reverberated from the moss-covered walls, like the ruin itself had grown tired of his clumsiness. Overhead, Solari's face appeared upside down, her long ears twitching ever so slightly as she raised a brow. "You've conquered gravity again, I see," she said, the corners of her lips twitching. He groaned and stared at the ceiling. "Your map said this floor was stable." "My map said probably stable." "You didn't ask for certainty, just a path." He sat up, brushing mud and some unidentifiable glowing dust off his jacket. "Do you ever give a straight answer?" "I'm perfectly straight." She tilted her head, reconsidering. "Well, in my answers. As a person, I might be more diagonally inclined." Leon muttered something unkind and stood. His legs ached. The air in the corridor was thick with spores and history, the kind of history that probably came with curses and definitely came with tetanus. He had imagined this expedition differently. Less falling, less banter, more actual archaeology. Solari sauntered ahead, barely avoiding a low-hanging root that emitted a faint electric sizzle. She touched a glyph on the wall, and it lit up like a neon sign. "This ruin predates the Keldari uprising, maybe even the proto-dynasts," she said. "It's older than your species' first space burp." "You mean warp drive?" he muttered. "Do I?" She leaned in and whispered like sharing a scandalous secret. "I read your early logs. You people called your first jump engine the Buzzgator 9000. Leon flushed. "It was a brand name. So is Zap Crunch Energy cereal. Doesn't mean I want it in charge of my atoms." The hallway opened into a chamber with a vaulted ceiling, its walls lined with inert columns that resembled petrified trees. At the center was a platform covered in dust and dried moss, where something once stood. An altar, maybe, or a machine. Solari clicked her tongue and crouched near the base. "Nothing left but ghost prints," she said. Leon stepped beside her. "How long have you known about this place?" She shrugged. "A while." He frowned. "And you never thought to come here yourself?" "I like surprises. Besides, it was sealed in temporal lock. Would have needed a human signature." Leon blinked. "A human signature? Why?" Solari leaned back, propping herself on her elbows, her violet eyes dancing with mischief. "Because, dear Leon, your species has this wonderfully reckless habit of touching things you shouldn't. Locks respond well to impulsive hands." He opened his mouth, then closed it again. She wasn't wrong. The room hummed suddenly, a deep, resonant tone that made Leon's teeth buzz. Solari perked up. "Oh, it likes you." "The room?" "Yes, it does that. Kind of like a psychic scan, or a flirtation. Hard to say with ancient tech." Leon stepped off the platform. The hum stopped. He stepped back on. It resumed. "Definitely flirting," Solari said. "Careful, she's ancient, but probably not into commitment." Leon sighed. "What exactly are we looking for here?" She stood. "An artifact. Armor, supposedly. Your people made it." "Well, not your people exactly, but something close. A long-lost colony. Vanished before your species even learned how to ferment liquids in barrels." "That's not true. We've had wine for millennia." "Wine doesn't count. I meant the really good stuff. Like explosive plum mead." He gave her a look. "Can we focus?" "Right. Destiny. Armor. Ancient stuff. Got it." She turned to a panel and waved her hand across it in a series of quick, practiced gestures. A hidden doorway groaned open with a slow, dramatic flare of something that hadn't moved in a few thousand years. Cool air rushed out, carrying the faint scent of ozone and pepper. Leon took a step forward. "Why do I get the feeling this is a bad idea?" "Because it probably is. But think of the story you'll tell. Assuming you survive." He paused. "Do you ever do anything cautiously?" "I once tiptoed across a collapsing bridge over a lava pit while juggling thermite grenades. Does that count?" Leon walked past her. "No, that counts as a death wish." You're cute when you worry. The corridor beyond the doorway pulsed with a dim, blue light. The walls shifted subtly, as if breathing. At one point, a floor tile hissed beneath Leon's step and launched a puff of glittering spores into the air. He froze. Cellari examined the cloud and sniffed. Hallucinogenic pollen. You might see dancing furniture for a few minutes. What? Or regret every romantic decision you've made since puberty. Depends on the dose. Leon held his breath and trudged on, only to stumble as the walls rippled slightly. Great, he muttered, blinking. The walls are breathing. Yeah, they do that. You'll get used to it. This place is insane. Cellari grinned. Welcome to the ancient secrets of the galaxy. Insane is the default. They entered another chamber, this one darker, filled with vines that pulsed faintly underfoot like veins. At its center floated a holographic projection, a humanoid figure clad in a sleek, otherworldly suit of armor. It shimmered between translucent metal and pure energy. Leon stared. That's it, isn't it? The armor of Psychron. Cellari's voice had lost its usual edge. It bonded with its wearer, became more than protection. Some say it read your soul. Others say it rewrote it. Leon took a step closer. Why me? Cellari hesitated. You're human, and it responded to your presence. That's rare. You're not telling me everything. No, she said, but I will. Eventually. Maybe after you stop falling on but every 10 meters. He turned to her. Do you actually want me to find it? Her expression softened. If you don't, we're both doomed. Oh, no pressure. Don't worry, she added, stepping beside him. If it kills you, I'll write a very moving ballad. He stared at her, with lots of rhyming, and maybe a dance number. Leon sighed. This is going to be the longest week of my life. Cellari beamed. Oh, we'll be done in 3 days. For if you insist on being dramatic. Leon sat cross-legged in front of the hovering hologram, rubbing his temple as it flickered like a stubborn dream. The image of the armor cycled through dozens of configurations, some sleek, some terrifying, one that looked suspiciously like it came with built-in disco lights. None of them stayed long enough to understand, but all of them hummed with dormant power. Behind him, Cellari was tossing pebbles into a pool of glowing liquid, each stone releasing a plink followed by a soft fizzle and the faint smell of caramelized radishes. She hummed to herself, completely unbothered by the weight of the ancient mystery floating a few feet away. Leon finally broke the silence. So this thing, it just chooses someone. Yep. Based on what? Hard to say. Sometimes courage, sometimes need. Once, it chose a sentient fungal colony that only spoke in interpretive vibrations. He turned slowly. You're making that up. She dropped another pebble. Maybe. He stood and faced her. You said it responded to me. Why? She tilted her head. Well, you did faceplant into that ancient glyph earlier. Maybe it likes bold entrances. I wasn't trying to faceplant. Exactly. That's the best kind of bold. Leon sighed and turned back to the armor's projection. So now what? I touch it. It downloads my soul into a toaster. Not quite. You have to find a real armor first. That's just a projection. A hint. A teaser trailer, if you will. Where is the real one? Cellari hopped to her feet and brushed imaginary dust off her jacket. Buried. Deep. Beneath a few layers of security systems designed by species who believed subtlety was for cowards. Leon narrowed his eyes. Traps. Traps. Puzzles. Tests of character. Possibly an interdimensional riddle that only reveals itself during a lunar eclipse while chewing mint leaves. Of course. She winked. I brought gum just in case. They retraced their steps into the breathing corridor, which now pulsed at a slightly faster rhythm, as if annoyed at their return. Leon pressed a palm against one wall. It's warmer. Cellari nodded. The structure adapts to consciousness. The longer you stay, the more aware it becomes. That's not creepy at all. They reached a fork in the corridor. One path sloped downward into darkness, the other curved upward into a flickering green glow. Up or down, he asked. Down is probably death. Up is almost certainly danger. So down. Obviously. Leon gave her a look. Why am I following you again? Because I have snacks, she replied, pulling out a bag of dehydrated purple rings. Want one? They taste like optimistic lightning. He didn't ask what that meant. They descended into the gloom, guided by the flickering light of Solari's wrist device. The walls narrowed, forcing them to walk single file. After several minutes, the passage widened into a chamber filled with hanging crystals, each suspended in midair and spinning slowly. Leon reached toward one. Solari grabbed his wrist. No touching. These are memory shards. They'll hijack your mind and make you relive someone else's worst day. He backed off. Sounds terrible. Not always. I once relived the first date of a Krelian ambassador. It involved cake, a jetpack, and a very confused goat. They navigated through the crystals carefully, but the moment Leon accidentally brushed one with his elbow, his eyes glazed over. He stiffened. Oh, Solari said. Leon blinked rapidly. I just relived my second-grade presentation on fusion physics. I was wearing socks with sandwiches on them. Solari nodded solemnly. You were ahead of your time. Past the memory field, they found a new corridor, this one lined with tall statues, warriors, scholars, and strange hybrid creatures with glowing eyes. One of them turned its head as they passed. Leon jumped back. Did that move? Yup. Guardian constructs. They won't attack unless you provoke them. Define provoke. Staring too long. Whistling. Insulting their design. Stepping on the wrong tile. Breathing with too much confidence. Leon clutched his bag and moved like he was trying not to exist. Solari grinned and waved at the statue. Hi, Krelek. Still mad I beat you at mind chess. The construct blinked slowly, but didn't move again. You named them. Leon hissed. Well, yeah. They get lonely. They haven't vaporized anyone in centuries. Leon exhaled shakily. This is why humans don't build sentient statues. Too much drama. They finally reached a sealed doorway, its surface engraved with spiraling script that shimmered when touched. Solari examined it, then tapped her chin. A riddle gate. Leon groaned. Fantastic. I'm great at those. The inscription flickered. What walks without moving, remembers without knowing, and waits without end? Leon frowned. Is it bureaucracy? Solari cackled. No, but that's a great guess. They pondered in silence. Finally, Leon said, A memory? The door clicked. The symbols faded. The stone slid open. Solari whistled. Well done, Professor Sandwich Socks. Beyond the door was a circular chamber, much smaller, with a pedestal at its center. Hovering above it was a fragment of metal, shaped like a breastplate but incomplete. Just the front panel, etched with glowing circuitry. Solari approached cautiously. First piece. Leon stepped beside her. Is it safe? She poked it. Nothing happened. So far. Leon picked it up. It was surprisingly light, humming softly in his hands. The lines on it shifted subtly, reacting to his skin. Solari leaned closer. It's bonding to your bio pattern. That's a good sign. Good like it fits, or good like it won't devour my soul. Honestly, bit of both. Suddenly, the room rumbled. A panel in the ceiling snapped open, and a spindly security drone descended, buzzing with menace and armed with something that looked like a plasma fork. Solari's eyes widened. Oh, you tripped a defensive protocol. I just picked it up. It likes drama. The drone scanned them both, beeped, and declared in a warbled voice. Unregistered user. Initiating bond right. Prepare for conjugal integration. Leon froze. Did it just say conjug? Solari stepped forward quickly. He accepts. We're very much in love. The drone paused, then emitted a celebratory chime. May your union be productive and battle-ready. It retracted into the ceiling. Leon stared at her. You just married me to an ancient weapon system. Congratulations, husband. I expect matching armor sets by next week. He groaned and pressed his palm to his forehead. I hate ruins. Don't be dramatic. You make a lovely groom. She patted his arm. Besides, we've got 2 more pieces to find. Let's go before your in-laws show up. Leon spent the next 2 hours trying to convince the breastplate to detach from his torso. It's not even the full suit, he grumbled, tugging at one of the glowing clasps. Why does it act like it owns me? It's affectionate, Salari replied without looking up from her scans. Some pieces get clingy. It's an emotional thing. He pulled harder. Emotional armor? Well, it's partially sentient, and probably traumatized. Wouldn't you be, after being locked in a hole for 5,000 years without Wi-Fi? Leon gave up with a sigh and slumped onto a nearby stone ledge. The armor shimmered faintly over his chest, the circuitry tracing faint, shifting patterns across the surface. So now what? We just wait for the pants to show up. Salari made a noise that was either a laugh or a small sneeze. The next piece is in the labyrinth spire. Up north. Frozen region. Horrible weather. Sentient ice. Can't wait. He looked at her. Wait, sentient ice? Yes. It sings. Badly. Think opera, but with less pitch control and more existential despair. Leon stared. She shrugged. Ancient defensive system. The ruins didn't want company. Still don't. But at least they're musically hostile. They made camp near the outer corridor that night. Or at least, Leon tried to. His bedroll flattened into the moss like a defeated burrito, and the local insects had the unpleasant habit of narrating his dreams in perfect English. Salari lounged beside a humming vine, snacking on dried root chips that smelled like old batteries. So, what was that dream about the donkey and the parliament hearing? Leon sat up, startled. How did you? Insect translators. They're nosy. He lay back down, groaning. I miss Earth. We had normal bugs. You also had a species-wide obsession with corn syrup and yelling. Still preferable. The next morning, they hitched a ride on a graph skiff piloted by a grumpy trader named Vox, who only communicated in beeps and an occasional dramatic sigh. He's annoyed, Salari said, as Vox slammed a container shut with unnecessary force. I got that part, Leon replied. Why is he helping us? He owes me a favor. What kind of favor? I saved him from a tentacle tax collector. Leon blinked. That's not a phrase you hear every day. Nor one you forget. The skiff zoomed across the landscape, climbing higher into jagged terrain. As they reached the icy ridges of the spire's outer range, the skies darkened and began to hum. Ah, Salari said. We're close. The opera's starting. A distant wail echoed through the air, low, haunting, and profoundly off-key. Leon winced. That's the ice. It's warming up. The entrance to the labyrinth spire appeared as a jagged crack in a cliff face, rimmed with frost and glowing runes. Vox dropped them off with a beep that sounded suspiciously like good riddance. They stepped inside. The temperature dropped instantly. Leon's breath fogged. The armor on his chest warmed slightly in response. Neat trick, he said. It likes you, Salari replied. Enjoy that while it lasts. The spire interior was a maze of crystalline halls, refracting light in impossible ways. Sometimes Leon saw reflections of himself doing things he wasn't doing, waving, laughing, running away. I don't like this place, he muttered. It doesn't like you either. Mutual respect is important in relationships. They reached a chamber with a circular platform, surrounded by floating shards of ice. Each shard emitted a sound, high-pitched whines, mournful moans, even one that seemed to be trying to recite poetry in a dead language. What is this? Leon asked. The Choir of Frost. Ancient defense algorithm. It tests emotional stability. He glanced at the ice nervously. How? It sings your biggest insecurity back at you. He immediately turned around. Nope. Salari caught his arm. Too late. It's already started. One of the shards lit up and sang. Your thesis was derivative, and your mentor pity published you. Leon flinched. That's not even. Okay, maybe a little. Another shard joined in. Your fashion sense is space orphan chic, and not in a good way. Salari burst out laughing. Okay, I love this place. He turned to her. Is it going to stop? When you laugh at it, That's the trick. A third shard chimed in with a dramatic crescendo. Your romantic success rate is statistically indistinguishable from a dead asteroid. Leon clapped his hands over his ears. This is cruel and unusual. Cellari smirked. Then why am I having so much fun? He growled, then cracked a grin. Fine. Hit me again, you frozen gossip fragments. The next verse came, and this time he laughed before it finished. Slowly, the shards dimmed and floated back to their places. Well done, Cellari said, patting his shoulder. You passed the test of ego. I feel enlightened. And insulted. Mostly insulted. The platform rumbled. A compartment opened in the center, revealing another piece of armor. This time, the leg components, perfectly preserved. Leon stepped forward. Here we go. The pieces snapped into place around his legs with a hiss and a faint glow. They were lighter than he expected, and when he tried walking, they responded smoothly. Feels like I'm walking on clouds. Cellari tapped a panel. You will be. Next section's a zero-grav corridor, designed to test adaptability and patience. How hard could it be? The ceiling opened, revealing a tunnel where gravity twisted in loops. Leon stepped in, instantly floated upside down, and collided gently with the wall. Cellari floated past him, perfectly oriented. You were saying? He groaned, flailing. I hate ruins. Then stop marrying them. The tunnel spat them out into a final chamber, smaller and quiet. At the center floated a map, projected from the armor pieces themselves, now glowing in sync. Third piece, Cellari said. Final trial. Deepest chamber in the first ruin. But now you've got boots and a fancy chest plate. That's like 50% protagonist. Leon nodded, still floating awkwardly. And the last 50? She drifted beside him and handed him another snack. Heart, courage, and a complete disregard for safety warnings. He bit into it. Tastes like old batteries. Exactly. The map pulsed, marking the path back to the beginning. Leon sighed. Back to the ruin. Cellari grinned. Back to your destiny, husband. He groaned again. You're never letting that go, are you? Not a chance. Leon tripped over his own foot for the third time since re-entering the original ruin, which wouldn't have been so bad if the boots didn't now come with built-in propulsion. He smacked into a wall, rebounded, and did a slow pirouette midair before crashing onto the floor with a metallic thunk. Cellari didn't even blink. You're improving. Last time, you left a crater. I miss gravity, he groaned. The normal kind. The boring kind. The kind that doesn't launch you into philosophical statues. I told you to recalibrate the inertia dampeners. You ignored me. You said, poke it with confidence. That is not technical advice. She tapped her wristband. Confidence is a vital component of interface bonding. I'm going to interface bond with the floor at this rate. They continued down the deeper passage, now lit by the glow of the two armor pieces Leon had assembled. The suit adjusted to him more naturally now, adapting with each step, shifting temperature, redistributing pressure. Still, it occasionally made unsolicited decisions, like auto-heating his legs when Cellari gave him a particular look. He tried not to bring that up. You sure the last piece is here? He asked, stepping around a spiraling column that oozed light from invisible seams. I'm not sure of anything, Cellari replied cheerfully, except that it will be both dangerous and unnecessarily dramatic. Great. It's the core chamber, the armor's heart. So yes, there may be a trial, possibly a guardian, possibly something worse. Worse than singing ice and judgmental memory crystals. I did once fight a sentient pile of shoes. I'd rank that higher on the nightmare scale. They arrived at a sealed door covered in shifting symbols. The script changed as Leon approached, eventually settling into recognizable human text. He read it aloud. Only the whole may pass. Well, that's rude, Cellari muttered. You're clearly 2/3 of the way there. Very prejudiced door. Leon rolled his eyes. Let me guess. I have to prove I'm ready. You're already proving something by walking in here, wearing glowing pants. He placed a hand on the door. It pulsed, scanning him. A hum built in the walls, followed by a clanking sound like 1,000 tumblers clicking into place. The door opened slowly, revealing a chamber bathed in amber light. At the center floated the final piece, the helmet. It hovered within a protective stasis field, surrounded by intricate circuitry and 3 large crystal nodes glowing with unstable energy. Cellari whistled. Classic triple-node defense grid. They really went full paranoia with this one. Leon frowned. Translation. You touch it, it explodes. Perfect. But she said, stepping forward, if you solve the calibration puzzle on each node, you'll deactivate the field and get your shiny headgear. He rubbed his forehead. How complicated is the puzzle? Depends. Do you remember the order of planetary moons in the Nerexian system? No. Then vary. He approached the first node. A display lit up, showing a sequence of symbols, rotating celestial bodies and glyphs. He stared. This looks like someone threw a planetarium into a blender. Actually, that's exactly what they did. The system's creator hated linear time. Leon groaned. I'm going to die solving ancient alien Sudoku. Cellari perched on a ledge nearby. Take your time. I've got snacks. He squinted at the display, trying various combinations. Nothing worked. The node emitted a warning chirp every time he got it wrong. After the 5th attempt, it emitted a snide-sounding trill. Did it just judge me? Cellari nodded. You're being roasted by a rock. Welcome to archaeology. He exhaled, focused, and started fresh. After several tense minutes, he managed to align the celestial bodies into a symmetrical formation. The node dimmed. One down, he said. The second node lit up with a logic riddle. 3 lights flash in a pattern. Blue, green, red. Only one is truth. One is a lie. One is asleep. Ask one question. Leon blinked. What does that even mean? Cellari shrugged. Ancient ruin logic. Makes perfect sense to beings with 3 brains and no dinner plans. He asked the red light if it was asleep. It blinked twice. The green light turned off. The blue light repeated its pattern. He stared. I have no idea what I just did, but I think it worked. Sometimes you win by confusing the puzzle. The second node shut down. The stasis field flickered slightly. The third node pulsed red and presented a message. Prove worth through shared resonance. Initiate partner sync. Leon turned to Cellari. What's partner sync? She raised an eyebrow. You really want to know? Not really, but I assume it's mandatory. It is. She stepped forward and placed her hand on his chest plate. The armor glowed. His vision flickered. Suddenly, he was inside a memory. Not his. A city floating over clouds, towers twisting like vines, laughter in a language he didn't understand. A younger Cellari, standing beside an elder, arguing passionately. She turned, smiled at someone at him. Then everything dissolved. He gasped and stumbled back into the present. She didn't look at him. Sorry. It picked something personal. Didn't mean to show you that. He blinked. You used to be a scholar? A rebel scholar. Same thing, really. I got exiled. Long story. Leon nodded. Well, thank you for trusting me with that, even if it was a forced mind-bonding flashback. You're welcome. And you owe me chocolate now. The third node powered down. The field vanished. Leon stepped forward and took the helmet. It was warm in his hands. As he placed it over his head, the entire suit sealed with a low hum. Information streamed into his vision, maps, diagnostics, unfamiliar glyphs, rearranging themselves into meaning. Cellari stepped closer. How do you feel? He smiled. Like I could win an argument with a planet. Let's test that later. Right now, you've got one more job. The chamber shifted. A hidden wall slid away, revealing a tunnel descending into blackness. Cellari's voice turned quiet. That leads to the source core, the thing the armor was built to stop. Leon adjusted his helmet. Of course it does. Still time to run, she offered. He looked at her. You'd let me. No, but it's polite to ask. He stepped toward the tunnel. Let's go save the galaxy then. Cellari followed, already chewing another snack. After this, we're getting fried noodles. Just saying. Leon stood at the edge of the tunnel and stared into the void. So, what are the chances this thing at the bottom is friendly? Cellari raised her brows. Less than zero. It was sealed inside a ruin guarded by insults, opera ice, and sarcastic armor. That's not how you treat something you invite to brunch. Leon adjusted his helmet and took the first step downward. The armor responded instantly, lights shifting, joints tightening, internal systems humming in quiet anticipation. He felt steady, strong, terrified, but a slightly more confident version of terrified. The tunnel spiraled for what felt like an hour, twisting deeper into the heart of the ruin. The walls grew stranger, etched with interlocking shapes that glowed faintly as they passed. Symbols rearranged themselves, just out of view. At one point, Cellari poked one with a stick. It turned into a holographic hand and slapped her. She seemed delighted. Eventually, the tunnel opened into a vast chamber pulsing with slow, deliberate energy. A platform floated in the center above a chasm that seemed to go on forever. Suspended in the air was a dark shape, twisting, shifting, like an abstract sculpture having an identity crisis. It pulsed once, then spoke in a voice that sounded like 3 radio stations arguing. Soul recognized. Initiating final test. Leon swallowed. That's never a good sentence. Cellari nudged him. Could be worse. It could say, prepare for disassembly. The shape began to descend, drawing the shadows with it. Tendrils of data, or light, or something stranger, reached out toward Leon, probing the air around him. His armor reacted, activating defenses, projecting shields, rerouting power. You are fractured, the voice intoned. Incomplete. You seek to wear unity, yet you do not understand it. Leon stepped forward, heart pounding. I didn't come here to be perfect. I came here to stop you. You cannot stop what you do not comprehend. Cellari crossed her arms. Great, it's one of those ancient horrors. Talks like a self-help manual and judges your personal growth. The creature pulsed again, and the platform beneath them shifted. A duplicate of Leon appeared, an echo, wearing the same armor, but with a hollowed-out face and glowing eyes. Oh, great, Leon said. It's bizarre me. Confront yourself, the voice demanded. Fuse or fall. Leon looked at the echo. It raised its fists. I swear, he muttered. If this ends with me punching myself, I want a refund on this entire journey. The echo charged. Leon met it head-on. Metal clashed, echoes ringing through the chamber. The suits were evenly matched. Every move countered, every strike mirrored. Leon grunted, skidding back across the platform. Got any advice? He shouted over the din. Cellari leaned casually against a floating console. Try doing something stupid. You're good at that. He paused, then grinned. Instead of defending the next blow, he opened his arms wide and let the echo slam into him. The armor sparked, systems protesting, but Leon wrapped the double in a bear hug and whispered, "We're not the same. I've got backup." The echo froze. From the edge of the platform, Cellari raised a wristband and triggered something. The armor glowed bright gold. Leon felt the resonance, energy aligning, circuits synchronizing. Merging initiated, the voice echoed. The echo dissolved into light, flowing into Leon's armor. A shock wave burst outward, rattling the chamber. The floating shape recoiled. Acceptance detected. Potential unlocked. Leon stood straighter. The armor had changed, sleeker, more complete. Interfaces danced across his visor. A strange sense of calm settled over him. He pointed at the shape. You were built to test us, but we're done with tests. The platform rose. Energy gathered around his gauntlets. Let's finish this. The creature unleashed a blast of chaotic energy. Leon raised his arms, the armor absorbing the hit. Cellari fired her pulse launcher from behind cover, distracting the entity long enough for Leon to leap forward and punch through the center of the mass. It shattered like glass. Silence fell. The chasm stopped humming. Cellari walked up beside him. You okay? He nodded, still catching his breath. Yeah, I think the armor finally stopped judging me. Miracles do happen. The chamber lights dimmed, then slowly brightened. A new doorway opened, revealing a lift. Leon turned to her. So what now? She shrugged. The armor's awakened. The ruin's secure. The big scary thing is gone. I'd say Noodles. He blinked. You're serious? Extremely. They took the lift back up. Outside, the sky had cleared. The ruins no longer shifted or whispered. The silence felt earned. As they reached the surface, Solari glanced sideways. You're different. Leon raised an eyebrow. Glowing armor tends to do that. No. I mean, you're not constantly yelling about regulations or how much you hate ruins. He laughed. I still hate ruins. Just a little less. She nudged him. Told you the armor would suit you. He groaned. No more puns. Please. They walked toward the skiff parked nearby, Vox waiting impatiently, with a mug of something suspiciously steaming. Leon paused and looked back at the ruin. Think it's really over? Solari nodded. For now. But these kinds of stories always leave a sequel hook. He raised an eyebrow. Should I be worried? She grinned. Only if you plan on proposing to another security drone. He sighed. I knew I'd never live that down. As they boarded the skiff, Leon glanced at her. So, you gonna stick around? Solari looked at him. You're bonded to a half-sentient weapon system. You think I'm leaving you unsupervised? He smiled. Good. The skiff rose into the sky. The ruins shrank behind them, quiet and still for the first time in centuries. Leon leaned back, arms crossed, helmet tucked under one arm. You know, he said. I think I'm ready to write about this. Solari squinted. Like academically? More like a memoir. How I got teased into becoming a galactic relic. She laughed. Bestseller for sure. As long as I get a cut of the royalties. He offered a mock salute. Partners share. They soared off into the clouds, the past sealed behind them, and the future, however strange, however chaotic, rushing forward like a song only they could hear. The end.